Good afternoon, Tiger fans. Happy Fall Family Weekend. We are live from Trinity University Football Stadium in San Antonio, Texas, where the undefeated Trinity Tigers are ready to host the undefeated Center College Colonels in Trinity's conference home opener. I'm Brian Yanselson, and I'm joined by Luke Terry. Luke, both these teams are coming off some big wins to open up SAA play, with Center defeating Hendrix and Trinity going on the road to beat Barry. What are you expecting to see today in this battle of the unbeatens?
Well, Brian, I'm really expecting to see a game that's decided on the ground today. This is a center offense that's coming in averaging almost 200 yards per game on the ground, but they're taking on a Trinity defense, a front seven specifically, that's only giving up just over 30 yards. So it's going to be interesting to see who wins that battle. Is one team going to be more physical? And if Trinity is that team, which I expect them to be, how does Center respond to that? They have an incredible quarterback that's very, very mobile, and Trenton Dupper, he's going to be a big key for this Center offense today, and it's going to be really interesting to see how things play out.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. Trinity's defense is going to be key in this one. They are the #1 scoring defense across Division III in the NCAA, allowing just under 7 points per game. Did not allow a touchdown against Barry. Also did not allow a touchdown in their home opener against McAllister. Have given up just 2 touchdowns to Texas Lutheran. But that is it. And so we are just about ready to go here. It is a beautiful afternoon in San Antonio. Just over 80 degrees, not a cloud in sight. And a beautiful day for football here on Trinity's campus. Mentioned at the top, it is Fall Family Weekend. We are excited to see lots of parents and friends and family in the stands. After a year, last year, with no one in the stands, Trinity has welcomed people back this year, and we are just thrilled to see everyone back. And for those of you at home tuning in, we are happy to bring this game to you. Center ready to kick off, and we are officially underway here in San Antonio. Kick is brought out, and Stewart gets across the 30. A nice return now across the 45 and all the way to midfield. Stewart returning the opening kickoff to midfield, and a great start for the Tigers from the get-go.
Yeah, and for BJ Stewart, huge lane opened up by the blocking on that kickoff return. Center going to have some decisions to make on who they kick to today. You got 2 Stewarts back there. Chris, fifth-year senior. We haven't seen him field many kickoffs for the reason that he's just as explosive as BJ. But Tigers set up here an awesome field position to start the game.
And the Tigers' offense has not needed much help this year, ranking 14th in the nation in scoring, led by quarterback Tucker Horn, who hands this one off to Hutchison, who tries to get around the corner and gets a couple of yards on the first carry of the day.
Yeah, and a good first carry for Hutchison right there. It looks like Chris Stewart missed his assignment on the outside, but despite that, Hutchison able to pick up 5 yards for Trinity on the first down.
So a 2nd down and 5 for the Trinity Tigers. Man goes in motion. Now Stewart in motion at the bottom of your screen. Horn back to pass. Now the pocket collapses, but he finds some room and gets the first down using his legs. Tucker Horn didn't have any open receivers. Center doing a good job of coverage, but Horn able to pick up the first down there for the Tigers.
Yeah, and Horn there went all the way through his progression, and finally that pocket collapse. He does a great job moving forward, making sure he gets enough yardage, but keeps himself safe.
With another handoff to Hutchison, and Hutchison finds plenty of room there, picks up about 8 on that carry. So a good start for Hutchison, who had 27 of the 35 carries for the Trinity running backs last week. And we talked to Coach Jeremy Urban earlier this week, and understanding that 27 carries is probably too many for Hutchison, but he really put his team on his back and ran out the clock against Barry in a huge road win last week.
Touches like that last one aren't going to be an issue, though, this week, Brian. Huge hole on the left side opened up by the offensive line. Big gain on first down right there. Sets up the offense to do whatever they want right here.
Horn looking to his right, and he has a man there. Stewart able to come up with that catch. And that's another Tigers first down as Stewart was able to go down and get that pass from Horn.
Yeah, and a great job. Great route run by Stewart right there. Really difficult throw for Horn all the way across the field. Picks up the first down, and Tigers just outside of the red zone in really good position right here on their first drive of the day.
You've got Austin Burtness at the bottom of your screen, Ryan Merrifield at the top. Those are the two leading scorers for the Tigers from receivers. And Horn looking to Burtness, and he makes a phenomenal catch, and he runs into the end zone for a touchdown. Incredible play there from Burtness. That throw high, but he was able to haul that one in. And what a great start for the Tigers offense.
Yeah, we'll see a replay right here. Great play fake by Horn right here. Sells the defense on the run. Opens up Burtness over the middle. Burtness does a great job to make sure that he brings that one in and finds his way into the end zone for the Tigers.
PJ Hensley on for the extra point. And the extra point is good. So the Tigers get off to a 7-0 lead thanks to an incredible catch from Austin Burtness. And just couldn't ask for a better start if you're Trinity.
Absolutely, Brian. But now the question flips, right? Can this Tiger defense stop this center offense? I don't think coming into this one that either of us doubted the fact that the Tigers were going to be able to put up points on offense. This is a center defense giving up over 20 per game. The real test today is going to be, can they stop a dual threat quarterback, the best one that they're going to see on the year, according to Coach Urban.
Yeah, definitely Coach Urban very mindful of the fact that Trenton Duper can do it with his arm and his legs. And like you mentioned, even went as far as to say probably the best dual threat quarterback Trinity will face all year. So we'll see if the Trinity defense is up to the task. First-year kicker Blake Lynn getting ready to kick off for the first time today. First year from Tyler, Texas, and happy to be out there with a lead for the Tigers. He sends that one back and will be caught at around the 20 and taken from there and brought down quickly by the Tigers special team unit. And this is a center team that has done a great job on kick returns, ranking 9th in the country in kick return average. Perhaps why we're seeing that short kick early on. And we'll see if that's something to keep an eye on as the game goes on. But now the center offense on the field. We'll see how they respond to the early touchdown by the Tigers. Duper in the shotgun. The Tiger line jumping a little bit, but getting back in time. But Duper finds an open man on the sideline, and he gets right around the first down marker and will have a first down.
Yeah, and immediately we see this center offense trying to do some things in the quick game. Not willing to go straight at this Trinity front seven. We'll have to see if they can get things established on the outside, disperse this defense a little bit, and then establish themselves up the middle.
And that reception was Court Marbaugh getting the first down, and now Duper taking it himself. The option not going very far. The Tiger defense pouncing on that one. And so the first time we see Duper trying to get outside, doesn't go for many yards, just about 2 on that first down run.
Yeah, Brian, that was a gunman right there who came up, made the stop, kept contained, forced Duper back to the inside, and he got some help from his teammate, Michael Jewett, right there. Good start for the Trinity Tigers defending the run today.
2nd and 8 for the Colonels. Now they have 2 men go in motion from the left to the right. Duper gets the Tigers jumping a little bit again, but they get back and catch the running back there with plenty of time. So a couple times we've seen the Tigers defense a little jumpy, but they're able to get back on sides and be ready for the play, forcing a 3rd and long here.
And now this is one of the keys to the game right here. Duper, a mobile quarterback, is going to be able to extend plays. This is not a Tiger front seven that's gotten home to sack quarterbacks a whole lot. They've made things real convoluted in the backfield for opposing teams. The run game hasn't been established, but they haven't brought down opposing quarterbacks.
Duper back to pass, and he has to scramble looking for a man. He goes deep, and he has a man, and that's caught there. Sam Murray with the reception to convert the third down, so a nice job by Duper escaping the pressure and finding Murray downfield.
But it looks like there's a penalty flag down on the field. First indication that this one is coming back, maybe a hold on that offensive line as Duper was scrambling back there. But Brian, that was exactly what we just talked about. Duper able to escape outside the pocket. And for this secondary, the biggest issue today is going to be not allowing receivers beyond them. They have to be the deepest man today.
So an unfortunate penalty for the Colonels, who did a good job converting that third and long. But now they'll face a third and even longer as that holding penalty brings them back. And you could see Harris Good getting some pressure on that last play. Unable to get to Duper, who had completed the pass at the time, but now back at their own 31-yard line are the Colonels. Duper sets up a little screen pass to the running back, but the Tigers defense is all over that one. And so a real costly penalty for the Colonels makes them go out on that 3rd and 18, now 4th and 16, and the Tigers will be getting the ball back.
And that's 2 plays in a row. Go back to the play before we saw the penalty on the center offense. Caleb Harmel making some stops, and Caleb Harmel was a player that Coach Urban brought up in our meeting ahead of this week's game. Third-year linebacker. Coach raved about his speed, about his ability to take the right angle on plays, and we see him come up big twice on this opening drive. Keep that number 21 in mind as things go on today.
Punt is away. That's Chris Stewart there to receive it. Catches it, or decides not to catch it there at the last minute, and lets the ball roll outside right around the 19-yard line. So the Tigers will be back on offense. We'll take a quick break on Tiger Network. And when we said quick break, we meant real quick, as the Tigers offense is right back on the field. Horn sets up a wide receiver screen to Chris Stewart, but the Colonels are right there to meet him, so actually losing some yards on that completion is Stewart.
Yeah, and that's one thing that we've seen now in the first 2 drives for this Trinity offense has been some shoddy blocking on the outside by these receivers. They're going to need to shore that up to ensure that they have every aspect of their offense working today, because this is a very balanced offense.
Horn hands this one off to Hutchison, and he's able to once again get a good push inside and makes it a 3rd and manageable now for the Tigers.
Yeah, and Hutchison boasting a 5-yard per carry average on the season, showing exactly why today. He's been just right around that mark, has already busted a couple of bigger runs of those 8, 9, 10-yard.
Horn back to pass on 3rd down, has to get rid of it quickly, and he has a man wide open there. Hutchison in the flat, able to get free for the 1st down. And so the Colonels sent a blitz, and Horn was ready for it, finding his running back wide open for the 1st down.
Yeah, not a big surprise there. We're going to talk about Hutchison a lot on the ground today, but he's also coming into this game, notched 9 receptions for 117 yards and 2 touchdowns on the year. So he's just as big a threat through the air as he is on the ground for the Tiger offense.
And thinking back to our first meeting with Coach Urban, he mentioned that Hutchison has the capability of being a 3-down back, and we can see it already today, running and catching the ball in positive ways for the Tigers. Horn now connects with Stewart for about a 5-yard gain, But all things clicking for Horn early on as well.
Yeah, and Horn
Gain,
again has
but all
time in
things
the
clicks.
Goes all the way through his progression. Finds Stewart again, the fifth-year senior. Had a bit of a slower start to the year, but it was a big part of the win last week at Berry College in Georgia, finishing with a touchdown on the day.
This ball's handed off to a new face there in the backfield. That's legend Grigsby with the carry. And Grigsby, someone that Coach Urban has also talked about as being a big surprise early on. Grigsby, if you check your roster sheets, listed as a receiver, and he takes another carry on 3rd and 1 and gets the first down for the Tigers. Keep the chains moving, and Grigsby really out of necessity coming in as Justin Carmouche has suffered some injuries listed in training camp and has struggled to start the season healthy, and as he works his way back, gets the first down for the Tigers. Helped the Tigers lessen the load on Hutchison, and he's done a great job early on in completing that first down. And he takes another carry on first down.
And so far, 3 carries on the day. What we're seeing from Grigsby is real similar to what we saw in the home opener here, Brian. Grigsby, as you said, is making the transition from wide receiver. Hasn't had a whole lot of time to train as a running back, and I think it shows. He runs very aggressive, straight downhill, straight at defenses. When he finds a hole, his speed is tremendous, and it's going to be hard to bring him down. But right now, running straight downhill, he is punishing this Colonel defense.
And another run, Grigsby getting a couple there, bringing up 3rd and about 4. But after several passes on the first drive, Tigers really sticking to the run game here.
Yeah, but now set up in a really good position on 3rd and 4 at the Colonel 33-yard line. This seems like 4-down territory, perhaps not in field goal range right now. So 2 plays here I'd expect for the Tigers to try and pick up just 4 yards.
We've got Burtness and Merrifield at the top of your screen. We'll see if Horn goes to them on this 3rd and 4. Looking right, escaping pressure, on the move again, and he is going to be just short of that first down marker. It's 3rd and 4.
Now decision to be made. 3 more yards to be picked up right here. Looks like the offense is going to stay out on the field, and we'll see what play Coach Urban has in mind to pick up this first down.
And kicker P.J. Hensley has made the 1 field goal that he's attempted this year, has missed 3 extra points, so the Tigers not wanting to risk a long field goal here, instead going for it. Horn back to pass, and he connects with Stewart, who gets enough yardage for the first down. B.J. Stewart, someone Horn connected with on the first drive in a big moment, once again Horn comes up with the big catch and keeps the chains moving for the Tigers on 4th down.
Yeah, and that's a great play by Stewart right there. Just a simple pivot
for
route,
the first
but he
down.
keeps moving to find the open spot between a couple of center defenders. And then after the catch, has the presence of mind to make sure he gets his hand on the ground, stays up just long enough to get enough yardage for the first down.
Horn hands it off, and not much doing there, as the Colonel defense able to stop Grigsby right around the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, and so far for the Tigers, these outside runs haven't been very fruitful on the day. They've struggled to get the edge established. They've been much more successful running between the tackles thus far.
Grigsby remains in the game. Stewart, B.J. Stewart and Chris Stewart in at receiver. Have Burtness and Merrifield as well for the Tigers.
And something we've seen so far this year is Horn favoring the single side, Merrifield on the right. He'll go the other way.
And Stewart there for the catch right around the first down marker. Looks to be just short, but brings up a 3rd
Horn
and short for the Tigers.
Side, Merrifield.
And Horn doing a nice job there. And Stewart looked to be right at the marker, but had to come back catch just short of it to make that catch. And you just mentioned Merrifield, someone that Horn has loved going to. He's at the bottom of your screen here. Instead, the handoff to Grigsby, and he is able to get the first down there. Some power running from the former receiver. And the cowbell's ringing here at Trinity. Another first down for the Tigers.
Yeah, and that approach that we've seen from Grigsby really very frequently early on in this season paying off for him again here today. Puts his helmet down, pushes through that offensive line, knows he only has to pick up 2 yards, and that's exactly what he goes and gets.
Stewart goes in motion to the right. That's where Horn is looking. And he goes towards Burtness, who is there for the touchdown. Austin Burtness with his second touchdown of the afternoon. And the Tigers roaring here early in San Antonio. That's where Horn is looking.
Yeah, and Burtness from the trip side, he's the receiver furthest inside, and he just simply outruns, beats his defender to the corner of the end zone. Easy pitch and catch for Horn right there. Great job by Burtness.
Hensley's extra point is good, and the Tigers up 14-0 over undefeated Center in their conference home opener. We'll take a quick break on Tiger Network and be right back. Welcome back to Tiger Network. Tigers up early, 14-0 over Center in their conference home opener. And you might have seen on your screen, Tigers already with 10 minutes of possession to Center's 2 minutes. And that's notable, as we can tell you, as that kickoff is off and being returned by the Colonels. Colonels take it to about the 35. Trinity second in the nation in time of possession, averaging 37 minutes with the ball so far this year. In fact, against Barry, they had the ball 40 minutes, letting the Vikings have it for just 20 minutes, and that can really wear out an opponent's defense as the Tigers just methodically driving down the field and ending up with a touchdown from Austin Burtness. We'll see if Center is able to respond. They don't want to let this get out of hand early.
Yeah, huge possession for Center right here. Again, Tigers close to jumping off sides. They get back, and they make the stop close to the line of scrimmage. No gain for Duper right there as he kept that on the quarterback. Again,
Keeper.
Tigers.
Yeah, and you saw Gunter, the receiver, in motion, and they faked the handoff to him. Duper keeping it, but the Tigers defense right there forcing the short gain. Now 2nd and 9 for Center. Once again, the Tigers looking like they're going to jump off sides, but able to get back. I don't think I've ever seen anything like this early on. But Center able to complete the pass there. Number 10, Marbaugh, right around the first down marker, but just short. So another 3rd down for the Colonels. Luke, what do you think is the explanation for all these jumps from the Trinity line?
Well, I think the Colonels certainly know what factor that this front seven plays in this game, but interesting considering the fact that they don't very frequently get all the way home to the quarterback. I think perhaps the fact that we've seen a pretty even approach from an offense that typically runs the ball is in this really game heavily on the ground, right? We've seen Duper drop back and pass. Hopefully from their perspective, I think perhaps they can get the Tigers to jump off sides, get a couple of free plays, take some shots, and right now, hopefully get back in this game.
Yeah, and on that 3rd and short, you saw Patrick Edwards muscle in for the first down to keep the drive alive for the Colonels. Edwards, the senior, surpassed 1,000 rushing yards in their win over Hendrix College last week. Now Duper facing pressure, and he is brought down. That's big number 92, Campbell Miller, with the sack. 1,000 rushing yards.
Yeah, and just an unfair matchup for Campbell Miller right there. A gun run, you see him right there. Kept contained, got back outside to slow Duper down a little bit, and that allowed Miller to hit home right there.
And that sack also bringing the clock down to 0 in the first quarter. The Tigers up 14-0 over Center in this battle of the unbeatens. We'll take a break on the Tiger Network and bring you the second quarter just after this. Welcome back to Tiger Network. 2nd and 15 for the Colonels after that sack by Campbell Miller. Duper gets rid of it quickly, but once again, not going very far. That's number 85 for the Colonels with the reception, but the Tigers defense swarming quickly. Campbell Miller, you can see Duper after that sack trying to get rid of it quickly, but still not picking up much. Again, tight end not going Stone, picking up just a couple of yards now, 3rd and 13.
Yeah, and in the first quarter, we saw that quick game working pretty well for the Colonels as they got started, but now defensive backs for Trinity triggering a little bit quickly, recognizing that Center's keeping things in front of them for the most part.
And Trinity just rushing 3, so dropping back in coverage, but Duper is able to find a hole in that defense and completes a nice pass down the middle for a first down. So Trinity opting to not send a lot of pressure, giving Duper plenty of time to read the defense. And Trinity just rushing 3, taking advantage of it there.
That's number 10 for the Colonels, Court Marbaugh, who does a really great job just settling down right at the sticks, gets just enough for the first down, which is huge for this Colonels team considering the fact that they had the opportunities to stop the Tigers on that last drive, had them in a 4th and 3, but the Tigers converted, and ultimately it ended up in 7 on the board.
And we've got an announcement from the referees to please not fly a drone over the stadium, as there appears to be one flying around. Just a quick stoppage of play there as Center drives down the field. Their most promising drive so far, as they're down 14-0 here early on in San Antonio. Center 4-0 to start the year, and coming off a big win to start conference play against Hendrix at home. Meanwhile, the Tigers 3-0, and they went on the road to Barrie and defeated the defending conference champions in what was a big win for them. Trinity picked a win in the preseason poll, picked to win the Southern Athletic Association. And you see right there, we've mentioned it, the defensive line from Trinity jumping a couple of times, but not getting called for offsides here. actually connecting with the offensive line for center. We'll see what the referees call.
And that was number
Will pick to
95
win the
playing
Southern
right
Athletic
over the center,
Association. And you
Jacob
see right
Munoz,
there,
who is now
we've mentioned
convinced,
it, the defensive line.
pointing very aggressively at the center offensive line. He's assured that penalty should go against them, but Tigers will retreat backwards, and center will have a 1st and 5 right here.
And interesting there, the penalty going against Trinity, but you could see Duper in that replay taking responsibility for maybe leaving his center there to get pushed early before the snap went out. Center taking advantage of the short chains, running up the middle, bringing up a 2nd and 1.
Yeah, and a much quicker developing run right there for the Colonels. Straight dive, hoping that this offensive line can at least make contact, and they know that these Tigers are going to get off blocks quickly, but if that running back can hit the line when there's still contact being made, then I feel like they'd be comfortable picking up 3 yards on the ground every single time if that's all they can get.
Gunter in motion, fake to him once again, and Duper in trouble, gets it away, and has Edwards wide open for a center touchdown. Duper doing a little backflip now as he got hit late on that play, but able to find Gunter Edwards. And you see facing all sorts of pressure from the Trinity defense, Ezra Gore nearly getting to him, but the running back Edwards able to get free and score the first touchdown of the afternoon for the Colonels.
Yeah, and that's a great play by Duper right there. Frankly, an absolute prayer. He's got 5 Tigers around him in the backfield. He should be going down for sure. Throws one up hoping for the best, and unfortunately, something we talked about earlier in the game, Tigers let a Colonel get behind them in the secondary, right?
The extra point from Teggy is up, and it is through. So the Colonels cut the lead to 14-7. An impressive play there from the quarterback Duper, as you mentioned, escaping pressure and finding Edwards for the touchdown. Just the 3rd touchdown this Trinity defense, and a much-needed possession and much-needed points for the Colonels, wouldn't you say, Luke?
Yeah, absolutely. We're going to look back on that one, circle it at the end of this one if it's a close one. 2 big plays on both sides of the ball so far for the Tigers. That one, obviously, which hurt them. But again, go back to that last possession when they converted on 4th down. A huge, huge play. Gave them a little bit of cushion, and it can allow for a mistake like that every once in a blue moon. But we can't expect the Tigers to be successful in this game and certainly moving forward this year if mistakes like that are made on a regular basis.
And something we mentioned ahead of the last possession, center really cutting into that time of possession number. Trinity was running away with it 10 minutes to 2, but center with a 5-minute drive there to kind of even that up and also inch closer in the scoreboard. So if the Colonels are going to want to stick around in this game, they're definitely going to have to keep the ball away from the Tigers and punch it in as they were able to do on that last drive.
And Brian, I think another thing that's going to be important for this Colonel team is finding a way to take the ball away. You saw what they had to do on offense to drive all the way down the field, to convert a long 3rd down, to put up a prayer that got answered, fortunately for them. But I don't think that that's going to be very manageable. I don't think they're going to repeat that.
And Stewart there with another nice return, but as is so often the case on these special teams plays, a flag flying in from the referee, and I saw this pretty clearly, should be a block in the back against the Tigers, so this one will be coming back. Not quite as good field position for the Tigers, as you could see right there in the middle of your screen. Carter Self with the block in the back. And the referee confirms our suspicions, and so the Tigers will begin this drive closer to their own 24.
Yeah, and so far, Tigers haven't had any issues moving the ball downfield, but certainly a penalty can be a momentum killer, and it can provide some momentum to the opposing team. So that certainly helps center right here, pinning the Tigers back a little deeper.
First play of this drive is a handoff to Hutchison. who gets just a couple of yards there. So early on here, Hutchison with 4 carries for 20 yards, Legend Grigsby with 6 carries for 17 yards. But the real damage being done by both quarterbacks here. Tucker Horn is 8 for 8 with 89 yards and a touchdown. And Trenton Duper is 6 for 6 with 73 yards and a touchdown. So both quarterbacks, as we expected, coming to play here in San Antonio. Horn hit as he throws, but is somehow able to get rid of it. But Stewart not able to come up with that reception. Horn hit hard there as he let go of that ball. You'll see the replay here down. Scrambling once again, as he's done a couple of times early on. And Stewart had it there, but some late defensive action there from the Colonels, able to break up that pass.
And now exactly what the doctor ordered for the Colonels right here. They have Trinity pinned back deep, have them in a 3rd and long. We'll see what the Tigers can dial up to try and convert right here.
And that was Horn's first incompletion of the day. This time, though, Horn finding Stewart right across the first down marker, and that will be another first down for the Tigers. So Horn not shaken up at all by that hard hit, going right back to Stewart and completing that pass for a first down.
Yeah, and so far what I would say about Tucker Horn is he's gotten better as the days got along. We saw him make a throw early on in the game, a little short, Stewart able to go to the ground to come up with it, but now he's really in rhythm, drops back, makes that throw with perfect timing, and puts it right on the money for his receiver at the sticks.
And Horn, another short pass to Burtness, who is met right near the line of scrimmage. Not going very far. That's Nick Herman, the defensive back for center, coming up with that open field tackle.
Yeah, and we'll see on the replay right here, it looks like center simply just had numbers on the outside. Not enough maroon hats out there to pick up all the white ones. And from the start, that play seemed to be doomed.
Horn facing pressure again, is able to get it to Caleb Crawford across the middle, and Crawford with a nice run after the catch gets another first down for the Tigers. So the Colonels really sending a lot of pressure on this drive. Horn not phased whatsoever, takes another big hit, but gets the first down as Crawford is able to pick up that reception.
A couple more things to say about Tucker Horn today. Obviously, we just touched on the fact that he's gotten better as this game's gone along. A couple of other things, the fact that he's been very mobile today, a surprise for sure, considering the fact that that's not been part of the game plan for the Tigers. He's really had to implement. He's done a great job today moving around in the backfield.
And as a timeout is taken on the field, I think it's worth talking a little bit more about that, with Horn being a pocket passer. Coach Urban mentioning in our meeting that for the first time in a while, really all 3 quarterbacks on the Trinity roster, Horn, Will Cheney, and Ryan Back, all pocket passers, so really able to focus on that style of play. Very different than what they had last year with Wyatt Messick, who liked to run around and scramble a lot and was very good at doing so, was the second leading rusher on the Tigers. But today, like you mentioned, Tucker doing a good job of running around when he needs to and finding the open man even when facing a lot of pressure.
Yeah, Brian, and the word I was looking for earlier was improvising. Horn's done a great job improvising in the backfield today. He's been mobile. We saw in that last play, he hung in there real late. He's taken a couple big hits, but he's gotten the ball exactly where it needs to go because of it.
And one of the things Urban was most proud of with Horn early on this year is how fast he's getting the ball out. And especially important today as he's faced a lot of pressure, but still able to complete all but one of his passes. Horn this time hands it off to Hutchison, who gets a nice carry on first down.
Yeah, and the first 2 drives, that was a big recipe for success. It was handoffs to Hutchinson on the first and second downs, where he was able to go out and get these 4, 5, 6 yard pickups. Earlier on in this possession, Tigers were held to 1, 2 yards on their first downs, but now back to what they were doing so well early on in this game, and all of a sudden they're in center territory.
Horn hands it off on 2nd and 4 to Hutchison, who takes it up the middle, just about a yard short of the first down marker. This might be another instance for Trinity where they're in 4-down territory in center's side of the field. Hutchison coming off the field, Grigsby replacing him. Horn trying to get settled with 15 seconds on the play clock. Facing a 3rd and 2. Center fans making some noise, trying to will their defense to a stop, but they will not be able to do so as Grigsby is able to shake a couple of tackles and spin across for another Tigers first down.
Yeah, and Brian,
Center
you
fans
mentioned
making
earlier in the broadcast the fact that Coach Urban has talked about Hutchison specifically and his ability, his capability of becoming a true 3-down back. But early on in the season, what we've seen from Grigsby, his running style has proved tremendous for 3rd downs, especially these 3rd and shorts. The fact that he's 5'11", 170 doesn't exactly indicate that he's willing to go out there, put his nose straight into the back of his offensive lineman and get those tough, hard yards, but that's exactly what he's done.
And Grigsby this time takes it on the outside and gets a nice gain, but you could see the flag coming in from the sideline. We'll see what the referees call.
Get those.
Center seems to be confident this will go against the Tigers, and you could see right there on the replay a pretty clear hold on the Tigers. And that's in fact what they call. So that run will be coming back.
Yeah, and those big number 71, John Hughes. Again, Trinity really struggling to get that outside run game established. He reaches, grabs a hold, and they're going to need to find a way to implement that, to get that going, whether that's on a sweep play, getting Stort going in motion, letting him pick up some momentum, but obviously a key to the Tigers' success so far this season.
Horn hands off this 1st and 20 play to Grigsby, and he met some resistance early on in that run, but able to push it outside. And now a center player down after that play.
And a little more patience early on in that run, but Grigsby finishes it exactly how he's finished many other runs, by sprinting downhill, essentially, and he really punishes a Colonel right there.
And we'll take a quick break on Tiger Network as they tend to the center player on the field. Tucker Horn ready for a 2nd and 16. Tigers with the holding call that pushed them back on this drive had been driving down into center's side of the field, and Horn guns it towards the sideline, but unable to complete it to Caleb Crawford there. Just the 2nd incompletion for Horn.
Yeah, not a bad throw at all by Horn right here, but defensive back out there for center does a great job, keeps Crawford walled off on the outside, doesn't let him
to Caleb Crawford
regain
there.
Position in front and get back to the inside for that football.
So now a big moment for the center defense. Scored on their last drive to cut this lead in half, and now forced forcing a 3rd and 16. But the Tigers, Horn completes it to the side. Grigsby trying to get to the first down marker, but will be well short there as center rallies around and able to stop him before he gets any further. So the Tigers opting to just cut into that yardage that they needed. We'll see if they go for it on 4th down, and it looks like Horn is staying on the field, much to the delight of the Trinity fans here. BJ Stewart in motion right in front of Horn, now coming right back. And Horn now looking back towards the sideline as it looked like the center defense was getting ready to blitz him. We'll see what adjustments Horn is able to make.
And again, Merrifield at the top of the screen, the single receiver out there, been one of Horn's favorites.
And Horn looking for Stewart, and he completes it for the 4th down conversion and the touchdown. Horn on 4th and 8 going for it all, and Stewart
Receiver
coming
out.
up with the big catch.
And Stewart, free release to the outside, just a fade route, outruns the defender. Second time that we've seen a Trinity wide receiver simply outrun a defender in the secondary from center. And a great pitch and catch, an easy throw for Horn right there. He's taken advantage of the easy throws that have been given to him so far this season.
And reception number 5 for BJ Stewart. Now 63 yards and that touchdown on a big 4th down, and just a back-breaking play if you're a center who was that close to coming up with a stop and trying to even up this game. But now, just like that, the Tigers are up 21-7 on this beautiful afternoon in San Antonio. Trinity 3-0, Center 4-0. So these two SAA rivals going at it in a big game. Trinity winning the last matchup between these two schools back in 2019. And Trinity going on the road to Danville, Kentucky and pulling out a victory. But Center has had the best of Trinity in the last several years. They had won 4 of the last 5 matchups before that 2019 game. And so definitely a matchup between two schools who are familiar with one another and want to beat one another, especially as they're both unbeaten to start the season. That drive for Trinity going to go a long way in helping them stay unbeaten today. And Blake Lynn ready for another kickoff. We have 6 minutes and 16 seconds left in the second quarter. And Lynn kicks this one deep. Murray catches it in the end zone, and this time he'll take a knee for a touchback. And so Lynn doing a nice job preventing this kick return game from getting going for the Colonels. And they'll send their offense back on the field, who showed some impressive fight in their last drive.
Yeah, and Duper on that last play that we saw from this center offense, I think he shot some belief, some hope into his teammates right there. It's going to be interesting to see how both sides respond. The Colonels come out more motivated than we've seen them on their first few possessions, or do these Tigers step back up? Do they answer the call, and do they shut down any hope that center might have gained?
Will definitely be a big moment to see if they're able to respond before the half. Duper again faking it as if he's going to hand it off to the receiver, but he takes it himself. So we've seen that play about 3 times now, has yet to hand it off to the receiver that comes in motion. And Duper just gets about 1 yard there. So he's been unable to get it going in the running game, has 73 yards in the air, has completed all 6 of his passes. But Duper actually in the negative on his 4 carries. Total of negative 1 yard. So not somewhere you want to be if you're Duper, this great dual threat quarterback for center. This time he is back to pass, and that's nearly intercepted. All over that play was number 52 for the Tigers, for James center Gunrin, the reigning defensive player of the week in the SAA. And that would have been a pick 6 had he come up with it. Instead, we'll force a 3rd and 9.
Yeah, and a great jump by O'Gunrin right there. Duper all the way staring down his receiver on that right side. Easy play for the linebacker, who's been really impressive early on this year. And now we see early on in this play, on that left side. A couple of extra Tiger defenders walked up.
And Duper is crushed in the backfield. Just had no chance, and that's number 52 once again, O'Gunrin, who comes up with that sack.
Yeah, and a gunner right in his face forces Duper to turn right into Michael Jewett coming off of that right side. Tigers opting to bring some more pressure from some pretty mobile defenders, those linebackers, and Ezra Gore walking down from the secondary.
And a big statement for this Trinity defense, who allowed just their third touchdown of the year in the last drive, but coming out after the Tigers put up one for themselves and showing that this defense is here to play today. Stewart receives the punt back near the 45, and a flag flies right as he catches it. And so he takes it back across the 30 into center territory, but that will likely be coming back. And another flag flies at the end of that return. So just all sorts of yellow on the field. We'll see what the referees decide here.
Yeah, and I think that first flag came in on Trey King, probably going to get called for a hold, which didn't seem all that necessary considering the fact that this was a pretty low line drive kick. You see a little throw right there, but center Colonel's going to get his revenge. A little shove after the fact, and I think that's when the second flag came in on that play.
So, in fact, the decision from the referees is that holding you mentioned on the return, but that second flag will be a sideline warning on Trinity, maybe getting too close there to the field, according to the referees. And the referee clarifying that that hold occurred during the kick, and so it'll take enforcement from the spot of the penalty, or from where the kick was caught, actually. So you can see the chains still moving back. So Trinity, instead of starting on center's 30, will start near their own 30-yard line at the 33. So some confusion there, but looks like we've got it all settled out, and Tucker Horn back on the field for the Tigers. Horn 13 for 15, 149 yards and 3 touchdown passes. He hands this one off. And a nice first down gain there. A new face once again in the backfield, not Grigsby or Hutchison. Instead, that's number 31, Jathan Royal. The first year from Lake Charles, Louisiana. First time we've seen him this year. Horn looks to his left, and a nice catch there. Going to the ground, that's Carter Self, the sophomore. A couple times we've seen some low passes from Horn, but this time Self and earlier Stewart able to go down and get it, helping his quarterback and completing another first down. That's Royal again, trying to get outside, but the Colonel's all over him this time, stopping him behind the line of scrimmage, forcing a 2nd and 11.
Yeah, now, Brian, these set of downs become really increasingly important for both sides of the ball, really. Trinity has just over 3 minutes left on the clock in the half. Certainly have to believe that they're looking to run it all the way down, punch another touchdown into the end zone. For the Colonels, they have to find a way to stop them right here, hopefully put some points back up on the board, and then get the ball back to start the second half and do so again.
Horn faces a lot of pressure from the Colonels and is ultimately brought down in the backfield. Colonel defense able to get to him, and that's Oliver Hunter, the senior from Franklin, Tennessee, able to wrap up Tucker Horn for the first time today. We've seen him face a lot of pressure, but not brought down until that sack from Hunter.
Yeah, and a huge play right here. We've seen this center defense get broken a couple times on fourth down. We've seen the Tigers convert some long third downs already. Incredibly important right here for them to find a way to get off the field with still enough time to go down and put points on the board before the half.
Horn again facing pressure, this time able to escape it for the moment, but then brought down in the backfield and taken out of bounds. That's Joseph Beckerer, the linebacker from Elizabethtown, Kentucky. So 2 sacks in a row for the Colonels at a big time. You mentioned a big drive for this defense. You could see Beckerer coming flying in the bringing Horn outside the sideline. And this is a Colonel defense that is 12th in the nation with 14 sacks. And you can see it coming through there, able to get to Horn twice in one possession.
Yeah, but something important to note right there, the refs kept the clock running. It's now down under a minute 20. The Tigers took advantage, running the play clock all the way down. They'll go ahead and take the delay of game penalty right here, but a lot of valuable time ran off the clock for the Colonels right there, even though they had 2 timeouts.
Yeah, an interesting decision there from the Colonels head coach Andy Fry.
And you see by the sticks on the far side of the field that there's a conversation happening between the coaches and the referees. I think that there was some confusion on that center sideline about whether or not that clock should have stopped or not. I think they're under the impression that it should have, and they weren't aware of the fact that it kept ticking.
Part of the confusion could have been them ruling forward progress stopped as that punt nearly blocked, but instead gets away, and Gunter unable to go anywhere. But on that play, Horn brought down, and he went out of bounds, but maybe forward progress being stopped as he was still inbound since he's the quarterback trying to protect him, and so him going out didn't stop the clock, leaving center with just a minute. And now they're called for a hold on the punt return. So I think we've yet to see a clean special teams play on either side. We'll see if center is able to use this minute and 2 timeouts to put a drive together before the half. Trinity up 21-7 here in this matchup between the unbeaten center and Trinity. Trinity with 213 total yards, as you can see on your screen right there. That rushing game really not getting going for the Colonels, something that has been a big part of their game between Duper and Edwards. Something that stands out there as you look at those in-game stats. Duper gets that low snap, and Miller nearly gets to him on his blind side, but Duper able to get rid of it, unable to complete it, but could have been much worse there as you saw Miller get free.
Yeah, and you'll notice right now from that replay, Tigers opting to only bring 3 at this point, dropping many more back-end coverage to hopefully keep everything in front of them, something that they've struggled to do to this point, but incredibly important that they succeed in it right here.
Duper back to pass again. Miller again nearly getting to him, and once again the pass incomplete. Gunter unable to come up with that one, and so Trinity's defense forcing 2 incompletions here, and for them 51 seconds left on the clock and all 3 timeouts. Wouldn't be surprised to see Coach Urban stop the clock if they were to come up with a stop right here.
Absolutely, and interesting to see considering the fact that center now 2 plays into this possession hasn't picked up any yardage. Do they put the ball on the ground, run the risk of Tigers calling a timeout? Do they push it through the air? running the risk of an interception perhaps.
Certainly a big moment in this game. Tigers rushing just 3, but still able to get pressure and forcing another incompletion across the middle. So Duper with 3 incomplete passes here and 46 seconds left on the clock. The Tigers will be getting the ball back. We'll see if they can come up with a late half touchdown.
Brian, something that you said on that last punt for the Tigers, we've yet to see a clean special teams play, certainly a clean punt so far in this game, but really important that the Tigers take advantage of this right here. The last punt from center was that low line drive, and Stewart, already in the record books as a punt returner for the Tigers, can put them in a great position right here.
Stewart decides to pick this up at the last minute and take it up the sideline for a few yards. Will be out at the 36, leaving 36 seconds also left on the clock. Tigers have all 3 timeouts, so Horn and the Tigers looking to come up with some points here. Already up 21-7.
Yeah, now for the Colonels, same thing that we've talked about for the Trinity secondary. They have to keep everything in front. It's something that they've struggled with mightily this game. 2 touchdowns that have come on defensive backs simply getting outrun. They need to turn quicker. They need to be expecting the Tigers to be pushing the ball downfield right here.
Colonel send 4. Horn nearly completes the pass. Looks like Stewart had it and just rattled around. Probably for the best, as that would have only gone for about 5 or 6 yards and would have forced the Tigers to take a timeout. Instead, the clock stops and 2nd and 10, but the Tigers have 30 seconds and 3 timeouts to work with still. Center is sending just 4 on that one. We'll see if they send some more pressure, try to force Horn to get rid of it quicker. But Horn able to collect it and throws down the field in the middle of Burtness and Merrifield, so unsure who was the intended target there. Horn just trying to get the ball downfield. Instead, the Tigers will face a 3rd and 10. Just 25 seconds left in the half, so the Tigers just trying to get anything they can as they head into the locker room. Center trying to keep the score right where it's at. Can't afford to give up more points. This time, Center sending a lot more pressure, and Horn going deep down the field, but unable to get it to Stewart, who was running down the sideline. So both teams unable to come up with a late half drive, as you saw the Colonels forcing Horn to get rid of it quickly. And Stewart had some space there, but the ball just overthrown. And so Eli Gaiman will be out for the punt, the reigning SAA Special Teams Player of the Week. Had his career-long punt last week at Barry and called upon to end the half here and pin the Colonels deep, not give them any opportunity to score. And he gets it away. Gunter receives it, and he's forced down at the 18. So Gaiman does his job, and the Tigers special teams unit, for the first time, no penalties on a punt.
Yeah, really impressive. And a number that we mentioned earlier in this game, Caleb Harmel, as Gunter tries to stretch that one out. Harmel just too quick, wraps him up around the waist and is able to bring him down, drop him for a little bit of loss, it looked like.
Duper and the Colonels just going to knee it down here. And they'll take it into the half. Tigers up 21-7, headed to the half. The Tiger faithful here on Fall Family Weekend giving them a big round of applause as they head into the locker room up 14 as they look to keep their undefeated record intact. Tigers with 213 yards on offense to center's 67, and you see that rushing game for the Tigers outpacing the Colonels and allowing them to keep the ball for more than double the time that center has been able to keep it on their side of the field. We'll be back after this halftime break in about 20 minutes. Don't go anywhere. We'll have it right here on Tiger Network. Welcome back to Tiger Network. I'm Brian Jenselson, joined by Luke Terry. Excited to bring you this second half of action in which the Trinity Tigers are up 21-7 over the Center College Colonels. Trinity 3-0 on the year, Center 4-0, both looking to remain undefeated and undefeated in SAA play. Luke, what stood out to you about that first half of play from both of these teams?
Well, I think for the Tigers, it was business as usual, right? 3 possessions, 4 real possessions, excuse me, 5 possessions, 3 which they scored on. 4 of those 5 were real possessions. That last one and a half, a little rushed, wasn't very fruitful, obviously.
And some action here on the kickoff, and Center able to come up with it. Looks like at the last moment, who is at that bottom of the pile is a Center Colonel, but nearly a disaster as you were talking there, getting set to go for this second half.
Half, a little.
You can see the replay here. Ball coming off of and the some hands action of the kick returner. And we've mentioned for Center, the kick return game has been a big part of their season so far, but this time looks to be an injury after that near disaster for the Colonels. We'll take a quick break and come back to bring you the second half on Tiger Network. Welcome back to Tiger Network, an eventful kickoff for the second half. But everyone looks to be okay. Greerstone walking off on his own power there for the Colonels, and they'll start their drive on their own 17-yard line.
As I was saying before that kickoff, Brian, Tigers had 5 possessions, scored on 3 of them. For this Center team, they're the team that needs to make the adjustments this half. They needed to add wrinkles in the locker room. One thing that really surprised me for this offensive side in that first half was the lack of plays that got Duper moving outside of the pocket. Get him ahead of this defense, which has done a really good job containing him thus far, but don't necessarily force him to run the ball for first down, for yardage. Allow him to continue to throw because they still have been successful that way so far.
And this drive starting on the 13, not the 17. My mistake there, but this time the wide receiver handoff goes to Jordan Gunter, who we have not called on at all so far this game, and I think to the surprise of both of us, Jordan Gunter, the fifth-year senior for the Colonels, coming back to play one more year after his season got cut short last year, and he set their all-time receiving record in last week's game against Hendricks, passing Cody Estep. Now has 2,184 receiving yards all-time as a Colonel. Has yet to have a reception here today, but was able to run that play for 7 yards, bring up a 3rd and 3. But there, Duper has nowhere to go, as that's number 51, Michael Jewett, getting to him first, and then the Tigers defense wrapping up that tackle afterwards.
Yeah, and it looked like the tight end advanced to the second level just a little bit too early right there. The emphasis right now for this Center offensive line, all these blockers, has to be to shore up the blocks against this defensive line from Trinity. Worry about the linebackers once you get a little bit of a push, once you get those first 3-4 yards, then work to the second level to try and open some things up for some longer runs.
That punt is away. Stewart lets it bounce in front of him, and it takes a favorable bounce for the Tigers as they'll start their drive in Center territory, similar to the first drive of the game. So we'll see if Tucker Horn and the Tigers come out firing as they did in the first half. Tucker Horn completing 14 of his 19 passes, but really even that is a deceiving number because a couple of those incompletions came at the end of the half as he was just trying to get something down the field with about 20 seconds left, but really an efficient half for Horn, who is second in the nation in completion percentage, completing 77% of his passes. He has 2 touchdown passes on the day, and he'll look to get back going. Back to pass on the first play here from scrimmage, and Merrifield unable to corral that one. Got some separation there at the end, but the ball flying out of bounds. And so that'll bring up 2nd and 10 for the Tigers.
And so far on the outside, center, Colonel's cornerbacks have been really, really good on the day. The Tiger receivers that have run by the members of this secondary usually have lined up on the inside. That's been Burtness and Stewart, a couple of receivers that we've seen get into the end zone today.
Yeah, Burtness with 2 touchdown receptions. Stewart with the other one as Hutchison leaps over a defender there and gets some nice yardage on 2nd and 10 to make this 3rd down a lot more manageable for the Tigers. Touchdown receptions. Hutchison had 33 yards on the ground in the first half and starts this second half on a positive note, bringing up over a defender there, 3rd and 3 for the Tigers. Nice yardage, looking to complete this 3rd down. Horn gets rid of it quickly, and he has a man on the outside who gets the 1st down and a lot more. That's Cole Monago, who's able to come in, get that catch, and then cuts back towards the outside to get some more yardage. That's a 1st down for the Tigers, and they're driving near the red zone of center.
Yeah, and one thing that we've seen from this offense on these 3rd downs is getting receivers to the sticks, right? Don't be too greedy, not trying to get huge chunk plays. Just get enough to keep the drive going. That's exactly what they've done with great success today.
And Monago, the 8th Tiger receiver to catch a pass today. Colonel's bringing a lot of pressure there, but Horn gets rid of it quickly to Merrifield, who is able to break a couple of tackles and drive all the way down to the 10-yard line. And Merrifield now the 9th receiver for the Tigers to have a reception. And he had been fairly quiet in the first half, a name that we've called a lot early on in the year, especially in that opening game against McAllister. Horn snapping it quickly, looking to his right, and just throws it away onto the track, trying to get things going quickly there, but nothing doing as center does a nice job covering.
Yeah, things moving a little bit too quickly right there for the Tiger offense. But going back to that last play, completion to Merrifield on the outside. I said earlier in the half that it's been business as usual for the Tigers thus far, but if there's one area that they can improve, they can get the ball to Merrifield on the outside. He's leading this team in receptions coming into this game at least, has 153 yards coming in, and has found the end zone through the air 3 times as well.
And Merrifield lining up in the slot for this play. Stewart running up right behind him in motion, and Horn able to throw it from his knees, but Stewart unable to come up with that. Horn doing a nice job getting rid of that. Running, but center getting some pressure there, and Horn nearly brought down for a sack. He had Stewart open there, but clearly with that pressure, tough to get it away. And so center here looking for a big stop, 3rd and 10 from the 10-yard line. Merrifield at the bottom of the field looks to have one-on-one coverage. You've got Chris and BJ Stewart along with Burtness as receivers for this play. Horn drops back, faces pressure, looks for Burtness in the corner, and that pass drops incomplete. Burtness nearly coming up with his 3rd touchdown of the afternoon. Instead, that ball falls incomplete, and a big stop for the center defense to start this second half.
Yeah, Brian, and stop is exactly the right word right there. This pass was perfectly defended on the outside. Defensive back had his head turned, but recognized and read the eyes of the receiver very, very well right there. And as Burtness's eyes got wide, I'm sure his hands went up. That defensive back swiped down and was able to connect with that football, knocking it down.
Now PJ Hensley on for the field goal attempt, and that snap and hold faced some trouble, and that kick is no good. Hensley with just his second field goal attempt of the year and unable to get that one through the uprights. And so an even bigger stop for center as that drive results in 0 points for the Tigers.
Yeah, and earlier in the game, saw an extra point go through the uprights, but the Tigers did have a little bit of trouble with that one. This one, obviously, wide right of the upright, and a huge stop for center, as you said, and could definitely flip the momentum right here. But again, pinned back deep in their territory, still in the shadow of their own end zone. Important to find a way to get a couple yards.
So after that missed field goal, Duper and the Colonels take over at their own 20-yard line, looking to capitalize on that missed opportunity for the Tigers. Duper back to pass, has some time and looking to go deep, and that ball is nearly intercepted here near the sideline. Lucky to get that one back. Jeremy Irving there had a beat on it. And that really the first time we see Duper go deep in this game, has had a lot of short passes. And that one nearly a disastrous throw.
Yeah, and on that one, center moved the pocket just a little bit, but I feel like they could afford to get Duper just a little bit more, a little further outside towards that sideline.
And this time Duper keeps it on the ground, and he breaks free for what is absolutely his best run of the day. Duper, the dual threat quarterback, had been held to negative yards on the ground, but this time he breaks through and gets a first down into Trinity territory.
Yeah, and the Tigers have defended this read option really, really well all day. But for the first time, we see center seal the edge really, really well, get Duper's man blocked off, kept him walled up on the inside, and Duper had a huge lane down the left sideline.
The day we talked about Coach Urban knowing that Duper was going to be one of the best dual threat quarterbacks that Trinity faces all year. This time, looks like center is drawing Trinity offsides. Seen a lot of movement from both lines in this game, but the referee does call this one against Trinity. That'll be a 5-yard penalty on the Tigers, so a 1st and 5 coming up for the Colonels. And Duper, who had that big run just now, named the SAA Newcomer of the Year for the Eastern Division last year, actually took a year off after high school, had quit playing football, went as just a regular student to Auburn University in Alabama, but then as his wrist healed and he missed football, decided to come back, gave the coaches at center a call, and they were happy to have him. And so he came to play football in his sophomore year, led to that incredible year as newcomer of the year for that division. And now looking to lead the Colonels as he's given them a 4-0 record this year. And he's back to pass, looking to go deep. Murray there in the end zone, reaches out but unable to come up with it. So on this drive, Duper, a couple of deep shots coming up just short, but clearly the center offense opening up a lot more than in the first half.
Yeah, and one-on-one coverage there on the outside that looked like number 3 for the Colonels. That would be Sam Murray. Had his defender beat a little bit, but that ball drifted,
able to come up with it. So on this drive,
Duper to the outside. Perhaps if that one thrown a little bit more towards the goal post, center would have another 6 points on the board.
Gunter comes in motion, and he takes this handoff and is able to get the first down. So Duper once again calling the receiver into motion. This time it's Gunter, and he's able to get the first down.
We said at the start of the half, one thing center was going to need to do was move Duper around a little bit, get him outside of the pocket on some designed throws, but also, as we mentioned, Gunter with 0 targets, 0 receptions in that first half. They needed to find a way to put the ball in his hands. They've done so, and so far it's been relatively successful.
And there goes Gunter again in motion. This time, Duper keeps it, and he is wrapped up behind the line of scrimmage. Doing a nice job there is Michael Jewett, who's able to bring the mobile quarterback down for a loss there on 1st and 10. We'll see if the Trinity defense can get back on their feet here. Taking a couple of punches here on this drive, but we've seen them be so strong even when their opponent looks to be gaining on them. Allowed just 3 touchdowns on the year, one of which came earlier today to Patrick Edwards. Duper keeps this one and is able to get a good chunk of yardage, but the flag came flying in from the sideline, and the Tiger defense pointing in that direction might be a hold that will bring this run back. That is in fact the case. Holding on the Colonels will bring this one back. Meanwhile, for the Tigers, Michael Jewett being tended to on the field. So we'll take a quick break and be right back on Tiger Network. Welcome back to Tiger Network. Michael Jewett able to walk off the field on his own power. Good to see. And you saw the referee signaling holding as we went to break. So the Colonels facing a 2nd down and 25. Duper back to pass, has some time, but then it is gone in an instant as the Trinity defensive line is able to swallow him up and bring him down.
On that one, it looks like it's Isaac Agamadu and Carson Bird that are getting home for the Tigers. So it's not just Miller and Good that are having success early on in the season. This is a really deep front 7, especially this group up front for the Tigers.
Yeah, absolutely. We're used to seeing Good and Willis and Miller up front, but a couple of new names there getting in on the action and forcing a 3rd and 29 for the Colonels. Duper with a dangerous pass there across the middle of the field, falls harmlessly incomplete. And so the Tigers defense, as was mentioned, bending just a little bit but not breaking and stopping the Colonels once again to forcing a punt on 4th down. Across the middle. This will be punt number 4 on the day for Nick Kopp. Kopp gets it away, and Stewart will watch it bounce in front of him, directing traffic there, and we'll let it bounce at around the 25-yard line. So both teams, after doing pretty well offensively in the first half, struggling to get much going as we're halfway through this 3rd quarter. Trinity remains up 21-7. Their offense is back on the field. Tucker Horn is joined by Legend Grigsby in the backfield to start this drive. Grigsby had a great first half, and he takes this first carry toward the outside, trying to get the corner, but unable to do so as he's met there by the Colonels. Grigsby, though, had 28 yards on 8 carries in the first half. Horn ready for the 2nd and 11 from his own 24 in the shotgun. Once again, Grigsby goes in motion to his left, and Horn completes it across the middle. That's Burtness, who is able to break a couple of tackles and move that pile forward, earning a first down for the Tigers. So Burtness doing a nice job after that initial catch.
Yeah, it looks like the Colonels were set up for a big shot here on Burtness, but 6'3", 200-pound wide receiver right there bounces off of those tacklers, able to pick up enough for the first down. Really, really great job by Burtness right there to ensure that he got to the sticks and keep this drive moving.
Grigsby takes this handoff, and once again, nothing doing there for the Tiger running back. The Colonels doing a nice job early on stopping the run game in the second half, something that worked so well early on for the Tigers. Once again, the Tigers are behind the chains on 2nd and 15. Horn guns it to the side of Caleb Crawford, who's able to come up with that reception, but then taken right out of bounds, unable to get much after the catch. That'll bring up a 3rd and 9 for the Tigers.
Yeah, but a much more manageable situation right here. A down and distance that we've seen them convert on already in this game. Horn starting off this second half strong yet again, timing really, really well executed on that play. Ball arriving in Crawford's hands as soon as he turns around.
Tigers have had a couple of big 3rd down conversions. Can they get another one here? Horn rushed out of the pocket and then taken out of bounds. Had nowhere to go. Good coverage downfield by the Colonels. And even though Horn had some time initially, eventually was met up with and taken out of bounds. So another punt here in the 3rd quarter. Both defenses stepping up to the task. And Eli Gaiman will be out for his 3rd punt of the afternoon.
Yeah, and although number 11, the all-time leading receiver for this Colonels offense, hasn't gotten involved on the offensive side of the ball, we have seen him back taking these punts, and a really great opportunity for him right here to make an impact on this game and give the Colonels some awesome field position.
And a timeout here on the field ahead of the punt from Trinity. Mentioned Gaiman winning the SAA Special Teams Player of the Week as punter for the Tigers, joining James O'Gunrin, who was the SAA Defensive Player of the Week. If you're curious to know whether O'Gunrin and Gaiman like Coke or Dr. Pepper better, whether they like sweet or unsweet tea, and so many more fun questions, you can check out my interview with them on the Trinity Tigers YouTube page. Had a fun conversation with them ahead of this week's game, after they were honored for their performances against Barry. O'Gunrin with a career-high 11 tackles, and Gaiman with 3 punts pinning Barry inside their own 25, including his career-long punt of over 50 yards. So a fun time with Gaiman and O'Gunrin. Make sure to check that out. Gaiman back on the field after that timeout, ready to launch this punt away. Gunter on the receiving end. Oh, and Gaiman pulls it back and throws it. A fake punt by Gaiman, and Harmel on the receiving end of that trick play, and this Trinity crowd going wild. Coach Urban pulling that one out of his sleeve, and a very opportune time to be talking about Gaiman and his performance as he shows off his arm this time. Gaiman
Yeah, and certainly an interesting time to call a timeout ahead of this play, right? From a center perspective, you have to wonder why exactly that's happening. There's not that many things to talk over on a punt, right? You call a timeout if you don't have the personnel out there, if you're down a man, whatever else. They weren't prepared for that play, and honestly, Brian, I think they should have been right there.
Would love to know the development of that play, if Urban saw something on the initial punt formation that made him want to go for that fake, or if he had it the whole time. Looking forward to talking to him about that, as Horn drops back to pass now in the red zone and completes that pass to Austin Burtness. So all of a sudden, what looked to be another big stop for center turns into an opportunity for the Tigers to really looking forward to talking to him about that, as Horn drops back to pass now in the red zone and completes that pass to Austin Burtness.
And the last drive for the Tigers, we saw them get down to this part of the field and the offense stalled just a little bit. So interesting to see how the play calling will adjust right here to ensure that they get 6 more points on the board.
And Horn tries to get it to Royal there as a check down option, but he was unable to come up with it, so that'll be 3rd down now and 4.
6 more points.
Last time the Tigers were down here in the red zone, they were stopped and forced to take a field goal attempt, with which P.J. Hensley missed. And that was just the 3rd time out of 19 attempts that the Tigers had not scored in the red zone. So they're looking to correct that here as they're on center's 11-yard line. Horn back to pass. Faces pressure but escapes it and uses his legs and runs into the end zone for a Tiger touchdown. Tucker Horn showing some mobility there, escaping the could-be sack and making his way into the end zone, putting Trinity up now 3 scores.
Yeah, and a great play right there by Horn. Center defense, hats off to them for the coverage right there. They had everyone covered, but they haven't spied the quarterback. It's probably not part of their game plan, considering the fact that we haven't seen Horn's mobility on display in previous games the way it has been on this one. And typically a very safe bet for him to get down, but as close as he was to the goal line right there.
And that extra point attempt blocked by center, so a rough day for the kicking team of Trinity, but nonetheless a touchdown drive, just as the Tigers drew it up at the beginning of the year, I'm sure. A completed pass from punter Eli Gaiman to linebacker Caleb Harmel, and then a rushing touchdown from Tucker Horn.
Absolutely. And now Harmel, a name that we've talked about a lot on the defensive side of the ball, on special teams, getting down and making tackles on punt coverage, but obviously now he's got a reception in the book on the year, rumbled for 40-plus yards there, I'm sure, and very nearly broke one into the end zone.
Yeah, and Coach Urban had mentioned Harmel as a name and specifically pointed out that he did not think anybody could beat him with their speed. His speed is just too much to catch up with, but I don't think we were intending his speed to come into play on the receiving end of a play. But he showed his speed and receiving prowess there on that fake punt. And Trinity now up 27-7. A real dagger for center as well. They were down just 2 scores and were playing good defense to start the second half. But just like that, they're down 20 points, and the Tigers defense now will be back on the field trying to keep it that way. Lynn once again gets the kickoff into the end zone, and Murray taking a knee for a touchback. So this center kick return game that had ranked 9th in the nation in return yard average, not getting much of an opportunity today. And you can see all 3 facets of the game coming into play. Of course, Tucker Horn and the Tigers offense doing a great job, but this Tiger defense and their special teams on that fake punt really coming through. An all-around great game so far for the Tigers.
Yeah, Brian, one thing that we haven't seen on either side of the ball have been takeaways, turnovers. The Tiger defense has 6 on the year coming into this one. Another right here would really feel like a nail in the coffin as the third quarter is winding to a close.
And Duper again fakes the handoff and keeps it for the pass. He tries to connect with Marbaugh there and is visibly frustrated as Marbaugh unable to come up with that catch. And so some frustration setting in for the Colonels. As you see, Marbaugh had plenty of room to run, but that pass just high. Second and 10 now for the Colonels. Duper trying to lead his team back into this game. Fakes the handoff again. Looks to run this time and has some room on the outside. Is able to push forward for what looks to be a first down. So that running game for Duper working a lot better here than in the first half. Trying to take things into his own hands or legs. Whatever it takes for this dual threat quarterback.
Yeah, and this one looks like a designed pass. And that's the other aspect that adding that wrinkle into the game gives the Colonel offense and gives Duper. He can push the ball downfield, but once he moves on, goes through his progressions, he's likely to have a lot of green space in front of him to run the ball.
And Miller there right in his face as he gets it away. Murray unable to come up with it on the sideline. But you saw the senior Campbell Miller right on top of Duper, clearly having an impact on that pass. And surprised that Duper was even able to get it away.
Yeah, and that one certainly floats for Duper, having to put it up over the top of the outstretched Miller. But one thing that we've seen so far is when center has gone to the formation, taking advantage or utilizing the sniffer position, these defensive linemen have absolutely eaten them up and just plowed right through them to get to the quarterback.
This time facing a lot less pressure than that last one with Miller in his face. And Duper able to complete just a short pass towards the sideline, able to make this a much more manageable third down.
Get to the quarterback.
That was Caden Newhouse, the tight end from Mason, Ohio. First time we've called his name today. So a third down for the Colonels. He gets rid of it quickly and is able to find a man on the sideline, but the referee says that he was out of bounds. That was Gunter trying to come up with his first reception of the afternoon.
And see in the replay, eyes always on Gunter the entire time. The sniffer position that we talked about not being the most effective in the passing game looked to have been wide open, releasing on the right side of the field, but Duper committed to the all-time leading receiver for this center offense and doesn't pay out there.
Yeah, and Trey King on the coverage there. And as much as you can imagine center wants to get Gunter involved, you've got to credit this Tiger defense from making it a concerted effort to keep him out of the game. Gunter, the all-time leading receiver now for center, and just one touchdown away from tying their all-time touchdown record as well. But he's been quiet on the afternoon, no receptions so far today. And Trinity will take over once again, up 27-7. Horn and the Tigers got a lot of momentum from that fake punt that Gaiman was able to complete to Caleb Harmel. Really turned this game on its head. Had been a quiet third quarter, but that definitely added some spice to it. Horn hands off the ball here to start the drive, what could be the last play of the third quarter. A gain of about 4 for Justin Carmouche there. Carmouche, a running back that was slated to get a good amount of playing time heading into this year. Unfortunately got injured in training camp and has been working his way back. Coach Urban mentioning he's not fully back, but nice to see him get some playing time here at the end of the third quarter. And that run will, in fact, end the third quarter. The Tigers will take a 27-7 lead as the Tiger faithful gets on their feet and gives this Tiger squad a round of applause. We'll be right back on the Tiger Network for the fourth quarter. Welcome back to Tiger Network, where we have two undefeated squads going up against one another. And Trinity, one of just 7 undefeated teams in the state of Texas, as Horn completes that pass to Austin Burtness, who pushes forward and fights for a first down. Looked to be brought down for an undefeated gain, but Burtness able to push forward for that first down. But Trinity, just one of 7 teams in the state of Texas with an undefeated record. I think it's worth mentioning as we just see the final score of the UTOU game. Got some great football in Texas here in San Antonio, especially. 2 undefeated teams in the city of San Antonio, UTSA 5-0 and Trinity 3-0, looking to make it 4. As Horn this time loses the ball from behind. Center claiming they jumped on it, but I do think Trinity was able to bounce on it. You see that ball stripped from behind. But luckily for the Tigers, they're able to jump on it. Wyatt Bush there would have been a big play to bring center back into this game. Instead, a 2nd down and 18. Horn once again on the run, but not getting much. So Horn running a lot more than we've seen him throughout this season. Able to get the rushing touchdown on the last drive. This run just going for a couple of yards and bringing up a 3rd and 16.
Yeah, it looked like Horn advanced through his progression a lot more rapidly on that play than what we've seen from him previously in this game. Sets up a 3rd and long for the Tigers right here.
The blitz picked up there, and Horn able to complete the pass to Ryan Merrifield. The Colonel sending some pressure, but the offensive line for Trinity holding strong and giving Horn plenty of time to complete that pass, and another big 3rd down conversion.
And again, getting the receiver right where he needs to be. A 1-yard net gain beyond that first down marker right there. Not being too greedy, not going for the home run ball in positions when you're in 3rd and 15s. That's how you keep drives going.
Absolutely. The Tigers doing a great job converting when most necessary, and they'll keep this drive alive. Carmouche with the handoff, and he gets a decent gain there on first down. 2nd and 6 for the Tigers as the clock keeps on ticking. And last week's game against Barry Trinity up 27-6 in the fourth quarter, and they relied on Hutchison to really run out the clock and get some key first downs as the game came to an end, and we'll likely see a lot of the same here as the play clock now down to 10. And so Trinity milking every second and letting this center defense bake in the hot Texas sun. Horn escapes pressure and takes it himself. And once again, Horn shows an ability to get out of the pocket and run. Gets a first down for the Tigers.
And a great job by Horn right here. Evades that tackle, keeping his eyes downfield the entire time. That's been one of his strong suits. He's always a pass-first quarterback. Does a great job right there to recognize he doesn't have anything. Gets to the sticks, picks up another first down, continues to bleed this clock.
Play clock got all the way down to 4 before that one was snapped, and it results in another Justin Carmouche run on first down, and he picks up a good 8 yards. And so a nice methodical drive here for the Tigers, just what they're looking for. Carmouche, the junior from Cypress, Texas, looking to get back and healthy for the rest of this season, will be a key piece for the Tigers. Hutchison and Grigsby have filled in nicely, but will be great to have another weapon there in the backfield to join Horn. And he gets another carry, this time driven backwards by the Colonel defense. And it'll bring down a third down that you have to think at this point, if there's any chance for the Colonels to come back in this game, they absolutely have to stop the Tigers here.
Absolutely, Brian. But for the Tigers, this does seem like another two-down territory type of position on the field. And right here, they're at the opposing 39-yard line with about 6 yards to pick up that first down. So they have 2 plays to do it.
We'll see what the play call is here. Ball snapped with 6 seconds on the play clock. Horn back to pass. Once again faces pressure but is able to escape, but just for a moment as he's taken back for the sack. Horn brought down by the Colonels, and so the Colonels do come up with a big 6 seconds on the play clock. Merrifield there had some space, but Horn, forced out of the pocket, was unable to see that. And for the Colonels, Armon Wells coming up with that sack. Wells, another Colonel who's had a good showing defensively up to this point in the season, had 2.5 sacks last week against Hendricks, and that time able to wrap up Horn. Gaiman bobbles that snap, but somehow able to get it away, and a very nice job by the Tigers special teams team. Great way of phrasing that there. Great job by the punt coverage team to somehow down that one at the 5. Gaiman doing it all today, completing a pass on 4th down, now recovering that bobble on the ground and able to get that away. So a good job pinning the Colonels back near their own end zone. Duper and the Colonels have 8 minutes and 20 seconds to try to get back into this one. They're down 27-7. A low snap. And now a throw from the receiver, Murray, unable to catch up with that. So trying to throw some wrinkles into this offense late, just trying to get anything going. That handoff to the receiver, Gunter. He steps back to pass and got some great air under it, but just a little bit over the head of Murray.
Yeah, and a big part of the reason that one went incomplete, it seemed like, was the fact that Trey King was giving quite a bit of cushion on the outside. Have to wonder if he had some sort of read on that play from the beginning because he was back there probably 12 yards off of his man.
And Duper keeps this read option and is able to fight for some extra yardage there at the end. That'll bring up 3rd and short for the Colonels. Gunter, who attempted that last pass, not unusual to see him doing a little bit of everything. Not only the all-time receiving leader for the Colonels, but also a star on their baseball team. Hit over 300 last year. And was happy to return for a 5th season to help both the football and the baseball team. He's hoping to play professionally in some sort. After he does graduate, he decided to, instead of taking the 2 classes needed to graduate last year, he spread them out and waited to take them this year as the Tiger defense nearly brings Duper down in the end zone. Instead, forces him to throw it. And an incomplete pass nearly brought in. You saw Miller nearly get to Duper in the end zone. And it was Gunter that almost had that reception. But an incomplete pass and another 4th down for the Colonels. So Gunter still without a reception today. Chris Stewart again letting that one bounce. Seen that several times today. And the Tigers will pick up their drive at their own 30. We'll take a quick break on the Tiger Network and be right back. Welcome back to Tiger Network. Tucker Horn and the Tigers looking to finish off this home win as they start their conference home schedule today against Center. And that run by Royal taken all the way into Center territory. So the Tigers just looking to run the ball and run out the clock, but getting some good yardage there on the run from the first player. These are 2 teams that are very familiar with one another. Trinity 16-11 all-time against Center, winning their last matchup in Danville, Kentucky. Center, a school with a lot of tradition. As Royal takes another carry to the side, breaks a big tackle there, drawing some oohs and ahs from the Trinity fans as he's doing some power running here late in the game. But Center, a school with a lot of tradition. In fact, if you're familiar with Texas A&M's 12th man tradition down in College Station, Center College was in fact at the origin of that tradition. Center was ranked number 1 in the entire country back in 1922, facing the Aggies of Texas A&M. And the Aggies just had a ton of injuries during the game, so many that E. King Gill had to come down from the press box. He had been on the practice squad for the Aggies, but was not suited up for that game. But the coach brought him down from the press box, had him put on his uniform, and be ready to go for a game that needed just any bodies possible. Gill ended up not actually playing in that game, and the Aggies somehow managed to upset Center, who was ranked number 1 at the time. And that's how the 12th man tradition was born, as the Aggies have now taken that effort from Gill and that willingness to just be ready at any moment, even if you're in the stands. And so if you go to a game in College Station, the students will be standing the entire game because they have to be ready to come in at any moment. So a nice tradition that center was involved in the origin of. And they're looking to make some more history this year as they started 4-0, but looking to come up just short on this road matchup for them against Trinity. But they've had a good start to the year, beating Hendrix at home. Hendrix projected to finish third in the conference, so center already coming up with that big win. Meanwhile, Trinity, who was picked to win the conference, going on the road and beating the team that won the conference in 2019, the last time we had a full SAA slate. Getting a heavy dose of Royal here on the ground as the Tigers just milked the clock here.
Yeah, Brian, and have been impressed certainly with what Royals brought so far. Certainly a stout running back's good word to describe him, standing in at 5'5", but 188 pounds, and we've seen him do a little bit of everything, right? He's been a bruiser, he's had good speed in the open field, but he's been real quick, and he's made some cuts when he's been in traffic inside the box as well.
Just another weapon that Coach Urban and the Tigers will have to use as this season continues. Royal with the carry up the middle. This season will continue with another home game next Saturday right here on Trinity's campus. Urban and Tigers will host Millsaps, another SAA matchup, and should be a good one at 1 p.m. next Saturday, October 16th. We'd love to have you here at Trinity Stadium. Fans are welcome back after no fans in the stands in 2020 or 2021 in the spring. We've got a full house here tonight and would love to have you. If not, we'll have it on the Tiger Network as we do all home events. Horn back to pass here. Has plenty of time. Looking for a man and just throws it away. So that'll be 4th down for the Tigers. Center able to come up with a stop. We'll see if Trinity attempts a field goal here. Did not have luck with their first field goal attempt. And it looks like they won't try it again. Horn and the Tigers staying out on the field. 2 minutes and 32 seconds left. Tigers up by 20. Looking to go to 4-0 on the year. 2-0 in SAA play as well. Horn looking to go to Merrifield, and that pass broken up there. A nice job by Nick Herman there. Merrifield with that ability to beat the man in one-on-one coverage. But a nice job breaking the pass up there by Herman. And so the Colonels will get the ball on offense. Now they'll look to make something happen here as the clock ticks away.
And Brian, it's worth mentioning that this Colonel defense, specifically this secondary, has really stepped up and improved their game in this second half. They've been shut down, locked down on the outside. They've defended passes really well. They've had a couple of pass breakups in the secondary. They just haven't gotten help from the offense.
And Duper, trying to escape pressure, does get it away. And multiple flags flying in all sorts of directions. Likely will have some pass interference there at the incomplete pass, but also could have a holding. So offsetting penalties likely the result here.
Also in this half, they just haven't gotten help from the offense. This center defense didn't give up a long, methodical drive from the Tigers. The touchdown that the Tigers got this half was a result of that special teams play, that fake punt call from Coach Urban. Outside of that, this center defense has stepped up, and they've been tremendous in the second half.
That's a great point. Just too good of a job by the Tigers defense in holding the Colonels down. Center scoring in the first quarter, but nothing since then. And center actually getting an automatic first down on that penalty. Not offsetting as we predicted. So the chains will move and the Colonels will try to get something going late here. The only touchdown coming in the hands of Patrick Edwards, and we'd like to congratulate Patrick Edwards. He was named a semifinalist for the William Campbell Trophy, given out by the National Football Foundation and College Hall of Fame. Edwards just one of 39 selections from Division III to be a finalist for this award, as Duper able to escape a lot of pressure and get a first down past midfield. But Edwards, a semifinalist for this honor that recognizes an individual as the absolute best football scholar athlete in the nation for his combined academic success, football performance, and exemplary leadership. Past winners of this prestigious award include some names you might recognize: Peyton Manning, Justin Herbert, Tim Tebow. And so Edwards, nominated for this award, he carries a 3.52 GPA with an economics and finance major. And so doing it on the field and off the field is Edwards. So congratulations to him on the prestigious nomination. Duper there brought down by this ferocious Trinity defensive line. That was number 91 coming up with the sack. Carson Bird once again said his name earlier as he shared a sack with Agumadu, but Bird there bringing him down all by himself. That pass falls incomplete to Marball, but a penalty flag late. And that'll be holding on the defense. So an automatic first down.
Brian, while this one certainly seems well in hand for the Tigers, really no question that they'll walk out of this one with a victory today. Certainly important for them to keep the Colonels out of the end zone right here. You saw earlier in the year that game in Seguin against Texas Lutheran. They gave up a couple of touchdowns late in the game when that one was well in hand. It's really important. Everybody on this team says it. Everybody preaches it. Playing from start to finish, playing in the moment, no matter what the circumstances are. So important for them to shore up, make sure that they don't play complacent right here, even with some second and third stringers getting some reps.
I think you're absolutely right. A real point of pride. Any stop that this defense can get. They held McAllister to 0 points in the season opener, so that shutout definitely something this defense is proud of. Holding Barry to no touchdowns, also something to be proud of. And trying to keep center out of the end zone here at the end of the game. The Tigers have just allowed 3 touchdowns, now nearly 4 complete games, so just an outstanding job by the #1 scoring defense in Division III.
And the one touchdown that they have allowed today, and go back to that somewhat miraculous play, as Duper threw one up and happened to find a hole in the Tiger defense that wound up in that reception.
The Tigers have just allowed. Trinity takes a timeout here with 52 seconds left. We'll use that time to update you on some of the other sports at Trinity. It's been a great fall season so far for the Trinity Tigers all around campus. The volleyball team, ranked 3rd in the country, won 2 matches last night against Endicott and Babson up in Boston. They came up with a big road victory today against MIT. MIT ranked 18th in the country, but no problem for the Tigers, who swept them in 3 sets. They're currently facing Tufts, and they're tied in set number 3. Meanwhile, both of our soccer teams ranked in the top 10 as well. The men's soccer team ranked 2nd in the country, and our women's soccer team ranked 8th. They pulled off some road victories yesterday in Seguin, and they will be up in Georgetown to face Southwestern tomorrow afternoon. So some great action all around. Cross-country team also having several meets this weekend, actually, having some different teams and different people from the team in different locations. And the swimming and diving team getting going, having a showcase this afternoon, softball scrimmaging. So everywhere you look, something happening on Trinity's campus. That pass is intercepted. Duper just trying to get rid of it, but instead it's intercepted by Jeremy Irving. Or are they saying late that that pass is incomplete? And they are. Some boos from the Trinity fans. We'll see here on the replay. Did Irving get under this one? Hard to tell from that angle. Irving definitely wants it. Instead, it'll be second down for the Colonels. Irving did have an interception last week in Georgia. This pass to Edwards. Go for about 4 or 5 yards. Just 30 seconds left on the clock. Duper avoids the sack there, doing a nice job of faking out the Trinity rusher, and again, nearly intercepted in the end zone. So some close calls from this Trinity defense, but to your point earlier, Luke, you can see the pride that these players have trying to get sacks, trying to get these interceptions, even with 12 seconds left on the clock. Irving a little banged up after that play, but you can see him running off to the sideline, and Coach Urban meeting him there, making sure he's all right. Center takes one last timeout, 12 seconds left in the game, and the Tigers going to improve to 4-0 on the year, with 2 impressive conference victories against some of the best competition the SAA has to offer. And Luke, what do you think about this start to the season for the Tigers, now 4-0?
I think it's a great start. That's exactly what it is. As you mentioned, 2 of the best teams in the conference. Those are big hurdles. To beat Barry, a team that they shared the conference title with a couple of years ago, to beat a center team that came into this week 4-0, an offense that was going to present some different threats than what the Tiger defense has been used to so far this season. To surmount both of those, to get the victories, to be unbeaten in conference play is awesome. But they need to realize that even though they have a couple of the more difficult opponents taken care of, that it's a week-by-week basis. And when you talk to these players, you talk to this coaching staff, that's exactly the approach that they've taken.
I think you're exactly right. Coach Urban going out of his way to mention that some of the people on this team, especially the seniors, were on the squad that lost to Millsaps at home in 2018, a loss that no one really expected and really threw their season off. Trinity hosting Millsaps a week from today, and so he wants to make sure his team doesn't look past any opponent, just like they didn't look past this undefeated center squad after their big road victory against Barry. And he even states it very eloquently when he said that last week was the biggest game on the week, simply because it was the next game on the schedule. So very much focusing on what's next, and that will be Millsaps a week from today, a 1 p.m. kickoff on October 16th. Duper back to pass on this 4th down, and he completes that pass just shy of the end zone. So a nice job scrambling and finding an open man who took a big hit there. So both teams not letting any second go by. Center taking a timeout now with 3 seconds, just wanting to get on the scoreboard one last time. Whether it's next week against Millsaps or in the future, we definitely encourage you to come out to Trinity sporting events this year. It was super sad last semester to not have any fans in the stands, but everyone is welcome back now. volleyball, soccer, football, all going on with spectators at the moment. Trinity still has 3 home football games against Millsaps, then against Hendricks at the end of the month, and against Rhodes on November 13th. So a couple of options for you to come down. Have plenty of people here today for Fall Family Weekend. They'll get to go home happy with a Tiger victory. Will it be 27-7, or will the Colonels get on the board one last time? Duper trying to get in the end zone, but he is denied at the goal line.
Yeah, it's a great end to this one. The start of that play, it looked like wide receiver on the top of the screen jumped, twitched pre-snap. Should have been a false start, but it didn't matter. Duper, a very mobile quarterback who's made great use of his legs, can't use them to get into the end zone to finish this one. And great stop by Trinity. Momentum that they'll carry with them next week against Millsaps.
And I think a very fitting way to end this game, with the Tiger defense holding strong at the goal line, and that tackle by James Ogunrin, who just won the SAA Defensive Player of the Week, had a career-high 11 tackles last week, and wrapping up this victory for the Tigers. Tigers, you can see there on your screen, 405 total yards of offense. Once again, holding possession for a majority of the game, nearly 40 minutes to Center's 20, and even able to battle past 8 penalties, which is unusual to see from the Tigers, but not costing them at all, as they're able to come up with a big home victory against the Center College Colonels to remain undefeated on the year. A big thank you to everyone in the booth making this game happen and allowing us to bring you this incredible matchup. Morgan, Reed, Adam, Elizabeth, Jean, and Sophia, thank you so much for your help. And thank you so much to Ryan and Mike for helping us bring you this broadcast, with our main man, Josh, not available for today's game. We had some great help from some great people here at Tiger Network. For Luke Terry, I'm Brian Yanselson. Have a wonderful Saturday afternoon.